everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Tandem Fandom. I'm Mick.
I'm Courtney.
And today we are continuing our top 10 list of favorite wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
To give a little bit of a recap, at number 10, I had the Olympic gold medalist, it's true, Kurt Angle.
And I had ravishing Rick Rude for all you inner city sweat hogs.
At number 9, I had the hardcore legend himself, Bang Bang Mick Foley.
And I had Gold Dust.
At number 8, I had the straight edge savior, CM Punk.
And I had one of the baddest dudes in wrestling, Dusty Rhodes.
If you will.
If you will.
At number 7, I had the gift of Jericho. Drink it in, man. Y2J, Chris Jericho, baby!
And I had the stunning ringmaster, Stone Cold Steve Austin. What?
At number 6, I had the demon of Bray County, Wicklow, Ireland, Finn Balor.
And I had the legit boss, Sasha Banks.
At number 5, we both had in tandem The Undertaker.
A phenom that will never die.
At number 4, I had the American Dragon, Daniel Bryan. Yes! Yes! Yes!
And my number 4 is just too bad. He's too damn good. Dolph Ziggler.
At number 3, I had, in my opinion, the greatest professional wrestler walking the earth today, the cleaner, Kenny Omega.
And I had the legend killer, the legacy, the Viper, Randy Orton.
Without further ado, let us dive into our number 2 favorite wrestler of all time, because that's right, baby, number 2 and number 1 deserve their own episode. Please introduce us.
Well, my number 2, if you know me at all, if you've seen my Facebook, my personal Facebook, if you see my personal Twitter, you're gonna have an idea of who this is, because he's basically all I talk about. Of course, I am talking about Cody Rhodes, the Prince, the dashing one, the undashing one, the new and improved, the mustaching Stardust.
It's really no secret.
It's no secret. I live it out loud. I have both colors of the gloves. I got the shirts. I got the figures. I got the painting. Whoosh. What are you gonna do? Surprisingly enough, I'm sure to a lot of people, my love of Cody Rhodes actually started with the cosmic one, the one of the manic menagerie, the labyrinth of lust, Stardust.
Amazing.
It was, you go through life, you fall in and out of love with your hobbies. We were kind of in a lull with wrestling since about, 2010, and he started watching it again, picking it back up. It was about July 2014. You turned on Raw. I'm doing whatever, and something bizarre happened.
Oh.
Some sort of cosmic event. And Goldust comes down the ramp, but he was not alone. Goldust, the harbinger of Stardust. Stardust first appeared, his music hit, they close up on his face, and there it is. There's my wrestling fanaticism rekindled.
It was really like watching a light switch turn on. That's what it was like. In that brief moment where he has his hands in front of his face and they separated, at that moment, it was like a light turned on for her. Her demeanor completely changed. She was back, baby. She bought back in with that one separation of the hands, boom.
It was like seeing the sun for the first time.
Or would you say a
Stardust was born. And just everything he did with the character for that next year was just, it was just amazing for me. I can't even tell you what else was happening in wrestling at that point, because I wanted the Dust Brothers, I wanted Stardust and Goldust, I wanted to see their backstage antics, I wanted to see their promos, I wanted to see them attain the cosmic key. And when they turned on each other, I was just, I was there. It was just amazing. And so it was such a strong storyline. And when they finally faced each other at Fastlane, it was just amazing. And, you know, Cody was going down this dark path that Goldust has seen. He's seen it before because he lived it. It was the hardest task for him to achieve, and Dusty even got involved, and it was just this amazing culmination of this amazing character. And unfortunately, he ran into so many roadblocks and pit stops, and the character just recently died. It was hard. It was hard.
It was. I mean, in professional wrestling, it is a work. We understand it's entertainment. It's a show. But different times in professional wrestling, it can touch us in a very special way for a multitude of reasons. And Cody Rhodes did that for her. I had the pleasure of seeing the joy that this man was able to bring to her from
both pairs.
both pairs of gloves. You know, seeing the joy that Cody was able to bring, and seeing the rabbit hole that you were able to travel down, because for those of you that have been keeping up with the list, you might notice a little bit of a pattern with hers. Goldust is on this list. Dusty Rhodes is on this list. That all came from Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, from Stardust appearing on that runway.
It's okay. This is where it's going to start getting tough, people. There will be tears. We're in 2 and we're in 1. These are not just favorite wrestlers. These are almost life-changing wrestlers. These are people that have influenced us in a very personal and deep way. So, please continue.
It's only hard because I know that in the end, Stardust was more of a burden to Cody than, but he had, he had as much fun with it as he possibly could. He became friends with Stephen Amell through it. He did a lot of charity work with it. Drax.
Yeah, absolutely. Drax Shadow.
Yeah, Drax Shadow. But, like he said, if it wasn't for Stardust, I would have never have delved into the past of WWE. I would never have gone into, well, this Stardust character is great. Look at what he's doing. He's so energetic. I just love everything about him. I need to know more about this character. And then I go back and I'm like, holy shit, that's that kid that was tagging along with Randy Orton. that was like actually the most enjoyable part for me, is because I remember when Legacy debuted and she was like, who are these punk kids with Randy? I watched that, and because I was such a fan of Randy, I was like, okay, Legacy's taking these kids under his wings, but I'm like, who the hell are DiBiase and Rhodes? I mean, these kids just riding on Randy's coattails trying to get in the business.
Couple of J-Brones, if you ask me.
But then I got to see more of his career where he was dashing, and those promos and vignettes,
they were money,
are some of the best things. Like,
pick a hairdryer that's going to be comfortable in your hand.
It's going to spend a lot of time there. He talks about putting on just a sheer gloss, or even the rhinestones on his nose. Just that extra bit of, oh, this guy is such a pretty piece of shit. I want to hate him so much. Because, it was just fantastic. And then when Rey Mysterio broke his nose and he felt, he became this deformed monster.
He became Dr. Doom. If I could interject, I have heard, I'm not the freak here, at least 1,000 times, because she has watched that promo. There's a video that someone put together on YouTube that opens with, I'm not the freak here.
I think it was Del Busto. Look him up on YouTube. He makes some great custom Trons. He made an awesome, no wait, Del Busto did the build for the fake build for Stardust and Goldust at WrestleMania. Oh man, if it could have happened, that would have been the build. He did such a great job. I commented on his video and he was like, thank you.
Again,
of course it was made like 2 years ago, but
I'm not the freak here.
Yeah, undashing Cody Rhodes. There is no monster
under
in
your
closet.
bed.
There is no monster under your bed. It was just to see him go from one step closer to dashing to they're staring at me, which just shows you the amazing range that Cody Rhodes has as an actor and his out-of-ring work that he puts into his characters, and just how much he puts into it, just how much he cares and how much he puts into it, how much he loves the product. And, you know, if you follow him on Twitter, he's constantly watching old tape, old promos. He's a fan of the business. He grew up in the business. And he's one of the few legacies who have been successful. And, you know, like I've said before, what makes a great wrestler for me is the total package. I need...
Absolutely.
I need, you know, acting. I need believability. I just need that depth. And he brings it in everything. Like, when, you know, he fights Randy, and Randy, like, breaks his mask and beats the ever-living shit out of him. And it's just, he says it woke him up, and he became new and improved, and he grew a mustache, and all of a sudden the mustache was life. And
it's kind of crazy because he tells the story of the mustache, like he told this on Jericho's podcast, where he got injured, he was off TV for a little bit, and he decided, you know what, I'm gonna grow a mustache, because he has, his mother is of Cuban descent, so he can kind of grow a better mustache than like Dustin and Dusty could. So he grows a mustache, tosses a little Just for Men in it, and he's walking around backstage, and he runs into Vince, and Vince sees him and this mustache, and he looks at him and he's like, I still know it's you under there. Like he's hiding or something. But the mustache got over. He sold a bunch of t-shirts. There was a figure with the mustache. He teamed with Sandow, and it's... Cody Rhodes embodies chicken shit in a chicken salad.
Exactly. Well, especially with the undashing, you know, he had to wear the athletic mask, and he was like, this would be perfect for a gimmick, because he wasn't just going to come back as same old dashing Cody Rhodes.
The bags on the heads of the audience.
The paper bags. Oh, and then...
Would you like a receipt with your paper bag?
He's so nuts. And he bags Ray, he bags Randy, and he's like, I have won because I put a bag on their head. It's just unreal. And you eat it up. The audience eats it up, because he believes it. He's in the moment. He is these characters, and he can wrestle his socks off. One of my absolute favorite matches, and this is from Stardust, was his U.S. Open Challenge, when John Cena was coming down with the U.S. belt and saying, if you want some, come get some, and Stardust tears down that ramp. That match in my head, it was like 30 minutes long.
It was incredible.
And, you know, and every time he did the open challenges, every time John did the open challenges, you always thought, is today the day? Is tonight the night? Because, you know, they do the close 2 counts and just really put on a show. But, man, it was one of the few times that Stardust was really able to showcase his moves and be a believable wrestler back when they had the second screen on their app, and they had the backstage interviews. He cut the best promo, which is now, you know, lost in the folds of the internet because, like I said, it's an app feature that's no longer there, so it's not on YouTube or anything.
But it lives in here
forever. And some of his backstage promos were the best, especially when he was on his own, when he starts talking about cutting the fat. I want this big meaty steak, this bloody steak, but they've got to cut the fat, and the fat is Goldust, Kane, Mark Henry, these hangers-on, give me a paycheck, old men working, young men dying. And it was just so great, and nothing ever came of it, and that is the biggest tragedy to me in professional wrestling. But he is now doing independent circuits. You know, he requested his release. They granted it to him. He released a statement as to why, and that was it. It's on his Twitter. And I was afraid, I was concerned. I was like, this is it. He's never gonna wrestle again. And what do you know? He's got like 10 different dates after 90 days.
We're going to have the pleasure of seeing him. He will be coming to the Raleigh area.
Yes.
So we will have the pleasure to go see him in person. Hopefully have an opportunity to...
not throw up.
Well, I was going to say have an opportunity to shake the hand of the man
and tell him thank you, because through Stardust I discovered Cody Rhodes. Through Stardust I discovered Goldust. Through Goldust I really rediscovered The Undertaker. Through Cody and Dustin I discovered Dusty. I discovered Goldust feud with Roddy Piper. I discovered all of this, no pun intended, gold on the WWE Network, and I don't, hopefully when I meet him, I'm like, don't say, you make it worth $9.99, because that's like the stupidest
$9.99, Maggle!
ever say. But it's just, he changed my life. He made it. I was like, he's having so much fun with his life, and he is putting himself into this character. He had the Mr. Sinister outfit
so great.
at Mania, and he did so much, and it really helped me come out of my shell. You could even say that if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be on this couch right now. And yeah, I discovered all the other wrestlers in the roster now, like the Bellas and Cody's wife, and just all these great, wonderful people that really care.
When we went to a live show recently, Stardust was a performer on the show, and
yes.
her entire goal was, this was kind of during the Cosmic Wasteland Stardust section kind of moments that he was having. So she made a Stardust section sign. She put a lot of work into it. We were in the front row.
That's right. I tweeted it to him before the show. He liked it, retweeted it. And so I was like, oh, he noticed me. But then he comes down the ramp, and I'm like, because I'm right there at the corner. And he sees me, he points, he does the Stardust noise that I could never replicate. And it was just awesome, because,
she was 8 years old again in that moment. The opportunity that he has provided in being able to, support causes that we believe in terms of supporting people like Drax Shadow, supporting the independent British wrestler that passed away. We were able to help out of that because we're not wealthy people, but we give for causes we believe in, and Cody helped make that happen. His passion, the things that he believed in, we were able to take part in and try and help. You know, in the small ways that we could, we were trying to help. And
yes,
you know, he is. You know, Cody, thank you. I do want to say thank you for bringing the joy and really the joy that you have brought to my wife, to our family. You know, thank you. It's amazing. Thank you.
It's been a wild ride.
You know, and I'm happy that he gets the opportunity to be a pro wrestler, to
he gets
work
to
the territories,
travel the towns. He's working with a couple people that were on his list that he tweeted out already. He wants streamers. I'm gonna bring streamers to Raleigh. I was worried. But now I see that he's doing something that he's wanted to do. And it's awesome because we started going to indie wrestling events and we started really supporting PWX and all of our local promotions. And now he's becoming a part of our local promotions and it's beyond me.
It's great because I like to look at the situation that I'm in. Many male wrestling fans with wives or girlfriends would call what we have as living the dream, where your significant other embraces a professional wrestling because she was a fan before. She enjoyed it. There were things that she liked about it.
There are things I could say, oh yeah, I watched that live when I was, 8 or whatever.
But because of Cody Rhodes, she became obsessed with professional wrestling, and not just him, the business, just everything about it, to where when we were talking about things for our podcast and expanding, the talk of this YouTube channel that you are currently watching, in a way because of Cody Rhodes, led to this. Like she said, because of him, she's sitting in front of this camera right now, and that's amazing. That is the power of pro wrestling. That is the power of what these individuals who give their lives and dedicate to entertaining us can do. It's amazing.
They inspired me to live my life just like they do, and I am, and hey. Hey everybody.
Hello.
And I'm happier than I've ever been. So
thank you, Cody. My favorite match of his is probably his WrestleMania with Ray. I think that would be the favorite.
Yeah, well, just that feud alone was awesome.
that was such a great feud with the insertion of Dusty, putting the Dream into the situation was so strong. So I go his match with Ray is probably my favorite. And again, seeing the young kid tag teaming with Bob Holly to what he became, and I look forward and I hope he comes back to WWE and gets to become world champion for the Dream. He
needs that belt. He can't get Big Gold because Big Gold is retired, but he can get the WWE belt. Especially with the brand split, he can make SmackDown his kingdom again.
I hope so. I really do. I hope he goes international. I hope he puts on the absolute best matches he physically can.
Yeah.
And I hope WWE looks at him and says, we made a mistake.
Whoops.
We need Cody Rhodes to come back and be our champion. I hope that. I am so excited to see the work he's going to put in. He's going to be on Arrow, which is amazing. Like, I'm so happy for this man.
The fact that Stardust did stuff with Stephen Amell was just so over for me because I am an Arrow fan, and we watched Arrow before Stardust even was a thing. And it was just a collision of worlds, and I was like, this can't even be real. It was like when Sting was in the ring with Randy Orton. I was like, this is not real life.
This is pinch me, wake me, please, from this wonderful dream I'm having.
When it actually happened and he smacked him, I was like, this is not real. And now Cody's going to be on the show. He always wanted to be an actor. There's plenty of stories of that'll make you cry too. It makes me cry. But man,
he's truly a wonderful human being.
A prince among men.
He is, and thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Brandy, for loving him.
Absolutely,
Eden, yeah, most people know her as Eden, but her name is Brandy. Brandy Rhodes, Brandy Reynolds.
Thank you for bringing joy to two schmucks here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We appreciate it. So, do you have anything you'd like to close out with to Cody? Try and save the tears for when we meet him in person.
Nah, I gotta get all those out before I meet him, because I don't want to be all like, he's gonna be like, hey, what's your name? I'm gonna sign the thing, and I'm just gonna go, and I'm gonna get escorted out. But, thank you for being you. Thank you for dancing through your polka dots.
Thank you, Cody. So, from one gush fest to another. My number 2 favorite wrestler of all time is a man who I have seen make a great journey. I have seen him journey from obscurity to the Hall of Fame.
You think you know me?
I'm talking about the rated R superstar, Edge. When I first became a fan of Edge, he was a member of the Brood. These were back in the times where I was heavily invested in WCW Monday Nitro. Occasionally, I would switch over to WWF's Raw, and I would see this trio of vampires, and the one that always stuck out to me was Edge. Something about the guy, he just had a look, a presence about him, the way he carried himself. Mm-hmm. As my interest in WCW began to wane due to the content of their programming, I tuned in more heavily to WWF. And I saw the tag team of Edge and Christian. They were these kind of valley boys, these snarky, goofy, blonde heels. And they appealed because they spoke a language that I was familiar with. The dorkitude to the max, totally reeking of awesomeness. And something about it, even though I was supposed to hate these guys, I appreciated them. They were funny and fun and entertaining. They were
fresh.
Yeah, they were different. They were fresh. They were, if you look at today and you see the New Day, well, that's what Edge and Christian were. They were different. They were young. They were hip. Man, that makes me sound old. They were
hip young cats.
Yeah, they were something different. And then it wasn't just the content of their character, it was the matches that they would put on in the ring, which culminated with WrestleMania 17. To see Edge spear Jeff Hardy from a ladder as he's hanging from the title belts. At that point, I said, this guy's special. This guy has it. I then got to see him grow from this guy that was a tag team specialist, a guy that was never going to make it, never supposed to make it in the world of Austin 316. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, and I am the game, and I am that damn good. Yeah. Totally reeking of awesomeness. Was never going to be anything. But they slowly started to make it happen. Mm-hmm. It really began with the King of the Ring tournament. As Edge slowly but surely worked his way through the King of the Ring tournament, beating Kurt Angle, watching that, because I, as it's documented, huge Kurt Angle fan. When he beat Kurt, I said, he's something. He's getting to that point. He's not there. He's not cracked to that level yet, but he's right there. Then he started his feud with Christian, when they finally split the team of Edge and Christian. And it was just great because he started turning in match after match after match. But what really made me do it was when they did the draft, and he was drafted to SmackDown. He had his feud with Booker T for a Japanese shampoo commercial, which was...
Never happened.
Yeah, never happened. Amazingly, I was invested in that. I was like, yeah, Edge has great hair. He should totally do this. But it was his feud with Eddie Guerrero on SmackDown for the Intercontinental Championship. And it was amazing. He and Eddie were having ladder matches and just these amazing matches where you really got to see Edge shine because he was a little different. He was bigger than most guys, but he wasn't muscle bound because he could move, and he had a level of athleticism to him that a lot of guys his size didn't really have. So to see a guy move like that and to incorporate this kind of like rock and roll metal style at the time it was different, and it was fresh, and it was so amazing. And I remember when he went down with the neck surgery, and I was crushed. 13-year-old me was absolutely crushed because this guy was my hero. He had tag teamed with Hulk Hogan to win the tag belts. He had tagged with Rey Mysterio to win the tag belts. Had these wars with Eddie Guerrero for the Intercontinental Championship. I remember when he united the Intercontinental and the United States Championship in a match with Test, and having read his book to know that they had trained together at Bret Hart's house. They had wrestled together while Bret was helping them get into WWF. And he said, the only thing that was going through his mind was, we weren't there having a match for those titles. We were at Bret's house training. It's amazing. Having read his book, which he did without the work of a ghostwriter, it's him telling his story, much in the vein of another hero, Mick Foley. Mm-hmm. It's awesome, and it's amazing where he tells of the Canadian Death Tours with Tony Candela in Canada, where they have to drive over the ice. He's responsible. He and Christian are responsible for naming the man beast that we know as Rhino. They're the ones that named him Rhino because they looked at him and they're like, Terry Richards, no, you're Rhino. Looking at things like that and knowing that this dude starved and scraped and scratched to just get an opportunity to get into the WWF, to see him have these great matches, and then he has this neck surgery that puts him out for a year. And I felt, as a fan, a whole. I enjoyed the show, but I was like, man, I miss Edge. He was my guy. When the King of the Ring tournament that he was in, that he won, began, at that moment, I looked at that tournament and I said, Edge is my favorite wrestler today. I distinctly remember watching that pay-per-view and proclaiming for no one to hear, Edge is my favorite wrestler today. He goes through the neck surgery and he comes back to booze. There's the unwritten rule in professional wrestling. You go down to severe injury, you come back, you could be the most hated heel in the business, you're a babyface. Triple H saw this. Almost every wrestler from major injury sees this happen. You go down due to injury, you come back, you're a big babyface. Except if you're Edge. He came back and was getting booed out of the building in his hometown of Toronto. And the reason is, he never changed. He was the same guy when he left. There was nothing about him that changed, that adjusted. So he said, you know what? I'm going to change who I am. I'm going to get pissed off. I want to be angry that I've never gotten the opportunities I deserve. Well, it certainly helped when a little bit of real life reared its head into the character that Edge was trying to create by the affair that he had with Amy Dumas, Lita, who was with Matt Hardy at the time. With the shape the internet was in, this sort of information kind of became public knowledge. So Edge became one of the biggest heels in the business and transformed into the rated R superstar.
Awesome slutty man gimmick.
She's on board. In terms of, was he right? Was he wrong? I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about what it did for this man on a professional level. The matches he had with Matt Hardy were amazing. The fact that they could put legitimate, real-life issues aside to entertain you and me, incredible. They beat each other like it was personal, because it was in a lot of ways, but it just helped to make Edge that much more of a bastard. Of course, that led to what is, in my opinion, the most defining match of his career. With, of course, we've talked about it before, we've talked about him, but again, bang bang. Mick Foley made Edge a legitimate main event contender. His match with Mick Foley at WrestleMania remains one of my favorite matches of all time. It was so good. They beat the hell out of each other, where Edge spears him and Mick has the barbed wire wrapped around his chest. He rips the barbed wire off, ties it around his hand, does the mandible claw with the barbed wire into Edge's mouth. Of course, the culmination where Edge spears him off the apron, through the flaming table. They take the thumbtack bump, and Barbie's incorporated into the mix, the one-man concertos. It's amazing. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Action.
It's one of the best hardcore matches you can ever see. Everything about it was amazing. And Edge walking away, he's shaking, his skin's burned from the fire. He's filled with thumbtacks. At that moment, you looked at him and you knew he's a main event level superstar. Yeah. Not heel, not babyface. He's a main event level superstar. Leading towards the Money in the Bank ladder match, the debut Money in the Bank ladder match, and he wins what was a star-studded occasion. To see him win, to hold that briefcase above his head, and to know he's arrived. This is it. He's ready. He cashes in on John Cena at New Year's Revolution. A spear later, Edge gets his first world title. Yep. I cheered. I cried because of watching him take this journey from this, faux vampire into this goofy valley boy, into this, milk white babyface Canadian goofball, into this rated R superstar, to see him become world champion after all he fought for, after all he worked for, reading his book, knowing his struggle. It was amazing to see Edge take it in that moment.
The ultimate opportunist.
It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. I loved every second of it. Watching his single match with John Cena in a TLC match, which I'm not a fan of 1 versus 1 TLC. I don't think that match should be that. It's a multi-man match. It's not a one-on-one, but he's the master of the TLC match. He's the master of the ladder match. He knows this is how you do it. This is how you make the match interesting and entertaining and powerful. To see that, to see, his match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, because, a lot of people say championships define you in WWE. I think The Undertaker having a match with you, that is the definition that you've arrived.
Yes.
I was not a fan of the La Familia run, but I think it gave him something that he always deserved. He got to be the leader of a faction with, Hawkins and Ryder and Chavo Guerrero and Vicky Guerrero, and, having them him to be the ultimate opportunist, this constant evolution that he started to adopt, where he changed and grew as a wrestler, to where he has a match with Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania, which was amazing, to be told, it's over. Your neck has degenerated to a point where you can't do this anymore. You have to give up. You have to stop. The thing that I respect most about him is his ability to walk away, to accept that it's over. I talked a lot about Bryan Danielson and the struggles that he had with the decision being forced on him. Edge, was told it's over, and he accepted it. He may have not liked the news that he was given, but he accepted that the ride was over. He had done, in my opinion, everything that you can do as a WWE superstar, as a pro wrestler. He won the King of the Ring. He won the Royal Rumble. He was a Grand Slam champion. He was world champion. He got to end his career as a Hall of Famer. He accomplished more than most superstars can ever comprehend to accomplish. Especially coming up in a time with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Mankind, The Undertaker. He was able to craft a legacy and build a foundation of something that in the future wrestlers will be able to look at and respect and reference and understand the power and the gifts that he has given to pro wrestling through his feuds, through his championships, through his every accomplishment. I think the thing that I respect most about him is he was never a fan of himself. He was never a guy that thought that I'm the guy, I should be the focus. He was always interested in building, in helping, in growing others, in making the business a better place for wrestlers and making it more entertaining for fans. He's special. He's someone that we need more of in the pro wrestling business. He's someone that I look at I look at Cody Rhodes and I see a lot of the same characteristics and the same traits that I see in Edge, in that, he never introduced himself as Edge. He introduced himself as Adam. Yeah, hey, I'm Adam. How are you? He never bought into the character aspect. That was never him. It was a character he played. But the man, Adam Copeland, is someone that loved the wrestling business, loved the fans, and cherished the wrestling business and cherished the fans. If you read his book, Adam Copeland on Edge, you see that. You see the love and the devotion that he has to people like you and me, that he did it not only for himself, but for us, so we could have a smile on our face. He's the ultimate opportunist, and for me, he took the ultimate opportunity of being just an amazing individual and an amazing wrestler. And I'm honored to put him at the number 2 spot on my list. Honestly, he was almost number 1. When I get to number 1, I'll explain why. But, for all intents and purposes, he is number 1. He'll always be number 1. I watched his entire career. I feel honored to have watched his entire career. I'm saddened to know that it had to end abruptly. I can only hope that he just is able to live life comfortably, without pain. I wish him all the best. I thank him for all the entertainment that he's given me.
And he's still giving on the network.
Absolutely. You know, the Edge and Christian show, which totally reeks of awesomeness, he dedicates himself to just putting
us laugh.
Yeah, to make us laugh, to put a smile on our face. He doesn't have to be this crazy badass. No, he wants to make people happy. To take you away from whatever problems you have in your life. You know, growing up watching Edge as a teenager, everybody has problems and angst and anger. Edge took me away from that. He relieved that pain and anger and angst and he took it away just long enough to put a smile on my face. And to be able to grow into an adult, to see him at live events with Rated RKO and see him perform, you know, I count myself lucky. And I know I didn't talk a lot about his matches because honestly I could talk for probably a couple hours about, you know, his match at King of the Ring with Kurt Angle, his match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, his matches with Chris Jericho, his tag team matches with the Hardys, the Dudleys, you know, his matches with Booker T, his matches with Eddie Guerrero. I could go on and on. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. You've heard me gush long enough. Do yourself a favor. Look Edge up on the network because it's a gift for any pro wrestling fan. Adam, thank you. Thank you for everything.
Can we just feel the love? If you thought that was a lot of love, wait until next time when we go over our #1 of all-time personal favorite wrestlers.
Absolutely. This was hard enough for us to get through. Imagine what #1's going to be like.
Yep.
You know, we've really enjoyed seeing you guys' comments and who your lists are, so please bring it on.
Yes, thank you.
Keep them coming.
Thank you so much for, you know, sharing this with us. Thanks for listening.
You know, it's an honor and a privilege that we get to share this with you guys, and you care and you're interested to see what these couple of goofs, you know, in Charlotte, North Carolina think. So, you know, we love that. You know, thank you. You know, please like, comment, subscribe, share the video.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And next time, we're hitting #1. But, of course, we're going to throw in a little something special. We're going to toss in some honorable mentions because not everybody can make top 10, but we're going to toss in some honorable mentions. So, tune in next time as we always say here on Tandem Fandom, if you're going to be a fan,
bring a friend.